Have you ever walked through a silent room and yet felt its presence louder than words? Have you ever closed your mouth but heard the thunder of your imagination echoing through the corridors of possibility? My friends, silence is not the absence of speech. It is the language of God. When you go quiet, truly quiet, not in mindless retreat, but in divine expectancy, you will feel the trembling of creation beneath your skin. The world is noisy with doubt, but the secret chamber of your being is silent with power. It is in this silence that all miracles are born. You do not beg for what is already yours. You do not announce to the wind what you have claimed in spirit. Instead, you quietly assume the state. You enter the scene in imagination, not with trumpet or parade, but with inner certainty. What you assume in stillness becomes flesh in time. Just as a seed grows best in the silent dark of the soil, so too does your desire bloom in the stillness of your being. The world may mock you, question you, resist you, but it does not matter. For once you've claimed it within, nothing in the without has power to delay it. Every desire is a whisper from the divine saying, "This is already done." And when you know that, you do not shout it to others, you rest in it. You do not seek validation, you are the validation. You become still, and the stillness becomes your authority. You speak nothing, yet all things bend toward you. When you hold the assumption in silence, the bridge of incidents begins to construct itself beneath your feet, one by one, drawing you effortlessly into your fulfilled desire. Do not disturb the process with talk. Words too often come from fear, from doubt, from the old man trying to negotiate with the new. Let silence protect your garden. Let stillness shield your sacred assumption from the wind of contradiction. Stay inwardly loyal to the state, and do not speak against it, not with your lips, not even with your thoughts. Speak in action by walking as though it's done. That is the true language of faith. So I tell you now, be silent, be still. Let your knowing be enough. You will discover that silence is not empty, it is pregnant. Pregnant with power, with form, with destiny, and in that holy silence, anything that you wish will happen, not because you shouted, but because you believed. And belief speaks most loudly through silence. Silence is not weakness, it is creative power. To the natural man, silence appears as passivity, as a void, as doing nothing. But in truth, silence is the sacred womb of creation. It is in silence that the seed of desire is planted, nurtured, and brought to life. The world may demand noise, demand action, demand justification, but the law of life is not moved by noise, only by conviction. And conviction speaks most clearly through the language of silence. You do not need to shout to be heard by the infinite. You need only to feel with intensity and then rest in the assurance that what you have accepted in imagination must take form. The one who understands this truth withdraws from the clamor of seeking approval, defending desires, or explaining vision. Instead, he walks in stillness, inwardly sure, outwardly calm, knowing that the unseen is more real than the seen. When the world tempts you to panic, to argue, to convince, remain silent. Not because you have no answer, but because you already know the answer. You are not trying to win the world's favor. You are conforming the world to the image held in your imagination. Your silence is not indifference, it is alignment. It is the complete refusal to be disturbed by outer facts while inner truth is being fulfilled. The creative act does not begin with movement, it begins with stillness. When a sculptor envisions a form within the marble, he does not speak to the stone, he contemplates it. He holds the shape in his mind and begins to bring it forth, not through declarations, but through inner certainty. So too must you hold your desire in quiet reverence and not profane it by exposing it to contradiction. What you treasure must be kept sacred, and the sacred belongs to silence. You will know the moment your desire has been accepted, when you no longer feel the need to speak of it. In fact, the more you speak of something prematurely, the more you confess your lack of faith in its reality. The silent one trusts. He knows that assumption is the only cause, and that all else is mere shadow play. He does not seek proof, he lives from proof. And proof in the realm of the unseen is the feeling of having already received. The wise student guards his state of consciousness. He chooses not to disturb the soil of imagination once the seed has been planted. For he knows that the spoken word, when filled with anxiety, becomes a weed. To speak in fear, to ask the same question repeatedly, to broadcast desire before it is rooted, these are acts of spiritual immaturity. Instead, enter your chamber, close the door, and dwell in silence with your fulfilled desire. Make it real there. Taste it, touch it, smell it, and then go about your day as one who already owns it. Silence is also the discipline of kings. Those who have inherited the kingdom of inner power do not broadcast their riches. They move through life in majestic stillness because they have found the pearl of great price, their own imagination. They no longer waste time seeking permission to dream, nor do they water down their desires to make others comfortable. Their silence is not emptiness, it is focused intensity. It is the undisturbed awareness that their inner reality is the only cause. You must come to love silence not as a punishment, but as your truest companion. In the silence, you are closest to the creative source. In the silence, you hear not the opinions of others, but the whisper of fulfilled desire echoing back to you. It is in this sacred stillness that you become one with your assumption, and assumption becomes fact. All things begin in silence. Thought, idea, impulse, they arise from still waters. So when you feel the urge to declare, to explain, to impress, pause, return in. There is no need to shout into the storm when the storm is your servant. You have only to remain centered, and the winds will carry your vision where it must go. The silence you keep is not a retreat, it is a command, and the universe obeys the silent command with far more precision than it does the frantic plea. Remember, weakness is noisy, it explains, it argues, it defends, but power is silent. It knows. And because it knows, it rests. When you rest in this creative silence, you no longer work to manifest, you realize that it is already done. You are not trying to make it happen, you are letting it be. That is the secret of silence. That is its power, and that is your true strength. Assumption held in stillness manifests faster than words spoken in doubt. This is a principle not only of spiritual insight, but of divine law. When you assume something and do not disturb it with speech, you are announcing to the universe, this is real. You are standing on the mountaintop of inner certainty. And yet how often do people speak too soon, and too often betraying their own doubts under the mask of faith? To assume a state means to inwardly accept it as true right now, not tomorrow. You wear it as you would a garment. You do not keep asking others, do you think it will fit? You do not step out into the world asking for permission to wear it. You claim it, and you move as though it were already yours. A quiet, still belief that has no need to speak because it already possesses. The moment you feel the need to speak of your desire to convince others, or even to convince yourself, you reveal that the assumption has not yet taken hold. You are still seeking evidence, still seeking agreement. But assumption, when true, requires no applause. It has its own silent rhythm. It settles into the bones. It becomes natural. The one who truly assumes does not have to talk, they radiate. Why does stillness carry more creative power than spoken word? Because words are too often spoken to compensate for what is not believed. Words without feeling are hollow. But assumption is feeling clothed in silence. It does not ask, it knows, it does not beg. It accepts, it does not declare, it embodies. This embodiment, this still dwelling in the end, sets in motion the unseen currents of life. The outer world, though it may appear untouched, is already bending to conform to the inner reality. You will discover that the most dramatic changes in your life occur not when you declare something to a crowd, but when you quietly adopt the state in the solitude of your mind. There is a secret knowing, a sacred stillness that carries far more creative weight than 1,000 anxious affirmations. Affirming in doubt is like trying to ignite fire with wet wood. But assumption held in quiet confidence is a flame that needs no spark. It burns from within. There is no greater demonstration of faith than the refusal to disturb your assumption with anxious speech. It is not that words are wrong, but that words must be the outpouring of the assumed state, not the substitute for it. To say I am rich while feeling poor is to deny the law, but to assume the wealth within and dwell in it silently is to give birth to its outer reflection. Observe nature and you will understand. The seed does not announce its growth. It does not cry out to the soil, watch me become. It simply becomes. The acorn carries the full blueprint of the oak, and in stillness it unfolds its destiny. So too must you carry your desire in quiet confidence, knowing that its end is encoded within its assumption. The moment you hold it still, without interference, you are nurturing it with the perfect condition for manifestation. People are often tempted to share their desire with others in hopes of encouragement, but in doing so, they expose it to the doubts and limitations of others. The assumption that is not yet firm may be shaken. You must become the keeper of your inner world, protecting it from premature exposure. Just as a fetus is protected in the womb until it is ready to breathe on its own, so too must your assumption be shielded in the silence of your soul. You may find that others ask, what are you doing to get what you want? And you'll smile, for they won't understand that the real work is invisible. The real labor is the stillness of conviction. The real power is in the invisible realm of imagination. The natural man wants proof. The spiritual man lives from proof, the feeling, and when you live from the feeling of the wish fulfilled in silence, you are calling into being that which the senses have not yet perceived. To assume in stillness is to stand unmoved, while the world rushes and fails. You become like the calm in the eye of a storm. Your stillness is not denial of action. It is the most powerful action. It is the cause behind the cause. And soon the world will mirror back to you what you held in secret. Not because you begged it to, but because you dared to believe without needing to prove. And that in its truest form is the creative act. The outer world reacts to the vibration of inner certainty, not verbal confirmation. The universe does not respond to what you say unless it is spoken from the depths of what you are. You may speak words all day long, but if they are not anchored in the conviction of being, they vanish like wind-blown dust. It is not the noise of your affirmations, but the tone of your inner knowing that brings forth reality. The world is not moved by surface chatter, it is moved by inner agreement. What you are in consciousness echoes into the world around you, and this echo returns as condition, as form, as event. If you say, I am wealthy, yet feel anxious about lack, it is the anxiety, not the words, that speaks the loudest. What you feel deeply and consistently is what life answers. The language of creation is vibrational, not verbal. The vibration comes from the state you dwell in, the emotional signature of the self you claim to be. There are those who utter beautiful affirmations, but wonder why nothing changes. The answer lies in the gap between their words and their state. Words spoken without alignment become hollow commands. They carry no weight in the law. They are declarations made from a place of disconnection. And disconnection cannot create. It only recycles the same external patterns over and over until the internal state shifts. You must become the embodiment of the end, not the speaker of its theory. The one who truly knows need not explain, their knowing radiates. Their life becomes a silent sermon of faith. This is not arrogance, it is law. All things mirror back your vibration, not your vocabulary. The world does not need convincing, it needs a model. And you become that model when your internal state is saturated with the feeling of already having received. Look at those who move through life with quiet confidence. They may not speak of their dreams, but their presence tells you they are living from a truth unseen. You can feel it. Their energy arrives before they do. There is a stillness in their being that demands no explanation, no proof, no approval. They do not fight circumstances, they transcend them. And this transcendence is the evidence of inner alignment. If you want the world to respond differently, do not begin by changing your words, begin by changing the self you identify with. Say nothing until the words flow from your assumption. Do not declare, I am loved, while feeling unworthy. Go into the silence. Dwell in the feeling of being loved. Let that feeling become natural. Let it rewrite the stories you've told yourself. And from that fullness, words may come, but even if they don't, the world will know, for your vibration cannot be hidden. Life listens to feeling. It listens to the mood you dwell in, to the assumptions you carry quietly in your soul. You may speak of health while secretly fearing disease, and the fear will dominate. You may speak of abundance while feeling the grip of limitation, and the limitation will persist. But when you shift your dwelling place, when you inwardly relocate to the state desired, the world, like a faithful mirror, reflects it without fail. This is why stillness is so powerful. It forces you to confront your true vibration. In silence, you cannot hide behind words. You come face to face with what you truly believe about yourself. And that belief is what is always created. It is not what you say when you're feeling hopeful, it is what you feel when you're alone and still. That is your real vibration. That is your true prayer. And what you feel as true, the world must obey. For all things are drawn to you by resonance. You are not attracting with effort, you are attracting with being. Your state of consciousness emits a tone, and reality tunes itself to match that tone. This is why it is written, as a man is in his heart, so is he. Your life is not answering your lips, it is answering your inner tone. So when you speak, let it be from fullness. Let it be from the state of already being. Let your words rise as an overflow, not as a tool of persuasion. Let your silence be louder than your statements. Let your energy speak first. For when you dwell in the end and carry the feeling of it as real, even without a single spoken word, the world will feel your assumption, and it will conform. Not because you convinced it, but because you became it. Every desire is a divine instruction to become, not to see. The moment a true desire is born within you, it is not simply a wish to be chased or something outside of you to pursue. It is a calling from the depths of your being, a quiet command from your higher self, whispering, this is who you truly are. You do not desire something because it is absent. You desire because on a deeper level, you already possess the spiritual substance of it. The desire is not placed within you to torment you, it is placed within you to awaken you. When you desire to be loved, to be wealthy, to be free, it is not a signal of lack, it is the movement of life unfolding its next shape through you. You are not meant to go out and seek the thing, to look for it in others or in circumstance. You are meant to turn inward and become it in consciousness, to assume the state of the one who already has it, and to walk in that assumption until it hardens into fact. So many live in the illusion of seeking. They run after the external shadow of their desires, not knowing that all they chase is the echo of what already exists within. To seek is to declare separation. It says, I am not it, I must find it. But to become is to close the gap. It says, I am it already. You may ask, how can I be that which I have not seen? And the answer is, by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The moment you feel it as real, you are it, and being precedes having. Desire is not a void, it is a map, and the way to follow that map is not by traveling distance, but by shifting identity. You do not arrive at your desire through time or effort. You arrive by dwelling in the end, by mentally occupying the version of yourself who no longer needs to search, the version who has, who is, who knows. The moment you embody that version, you give the universe its blueprint for manifestation. You were never meant to labor in pursuit of your dreams like a beggar at the gates. You are the heir. The desire itself is your inheritance, and every true desire comes with its fulfillment encoded within it. You are not given the dream without the means to express it. But the means are not found in the world. They are found in your ability to assume. The one who assumes is not a seeker, but a receiver. When you say, I desire to be free, do not look around for proof of freedom. Go inward and become free. See yourself as already released. Feel the weight lifted. Walk as though the chains are broken. This is the sacred becoming. It is not fantasy. It is the most precise spiritual science. You must become internally what you wish to express externally. The cause is always consciousness. The effect is always conditioned. People err when they treat desire as a distant object. They place it on pedestals. They long for it, speak of it, and weep over it. But they do not claim it. To desire and not become is to suffer. To desire and not assume is to delay. But to desire and immediately inhabit the state is to align with the law. It is to declare without words, I have received. You are never truly desiring a thing. You are desiring a state of being. Behind every goal is a feeling, and that feeling is always available now. You do not need to wait for the conditions to feel it. You are the operant power. You can call up the feeling now, this moment. And once the feeling is stabilized, it will inevitably externalize itself in a form consistent with it. This is the sacred invitation of desire, not to follow, but to transform, to transfigure your identity, to match your ideal, to assume the character and the life of the one who already lives in that fulfilled desire. Do not stand outside your dream, knocking. Walk through the door. That door is imagination, and it swings open the moment you believe it is yours. To become is the only true path. Every other approach is delay. When you assume the state of the one who has already arrived, you will find that reality begins to organize itself around your being. People, places, events, and opportunities begin to reflect the new self you have accepted. Because the world in all its parts can only echo what you are being, not what you hope for, not what you explain, only what you are. And to become is to know that what you desire was never outside of you. It was always a mirror of your true self calling you home. Faith, without speech, clothed in action, is the loudest command to the universe. The outer world responds not to your declarations, but to the unseen posture of your being. The man who moves in alignment with his fulfilled desire need not explain himself. His actions speak volumes where words would fail. When faith is real, it does not shout, it moves, it walks, it breathes, it prepares as though it were already done. And this kind of silent faith, cloaked in the gestures of completion, moves mountains that words alone could never touch. To truly believe is to behave from belief. It is not enough to say, I know it will happen. The law does not respond to what is stated with the tongue, but to what is lived by the body. When the inner man accepts the truth of fulfillment, the outer man begins to conform naturally. This is not pretense, it is obedience to the law of assumption. You do not act to force reality, you act because you know what reality must become. So often individuals claim to have faith, and yet their steps betray their doubt. They say, I believe I am wealthy, but every movement reflects hesitation. They say, I know love is mine, but their habits reflect loneliness. They speak one thing and live another. But the universe listens to what you live. It is blind to your rehearsed statements, but deeply attuned to your frequency. That frequency is broadcast through movement, through the way you enter a room, the way you invest your time, the way you prepare your table, the way you greet life. There is a sacred power in behaving as though it were already done. When you do this with sincerity, not to trick the world, but because you know it must be, then life has no choice but to obey. The invisible realm receives your behavior as instruction. It is as if you are writing the blueprint of tomorrow through today's gestures. When you rise in the morning and dress for the life you desire, when you speak to yourself as one already chosen, When you walk through your day with inner conviction, you are praying in the highest form. To act in faith is not to fake, it is to become. There is no hypocrisy in assuming the end. There is only harmony. Because what you feel as real within and what you embody without begins to harmonize and form a magnetic field that draws to you the correlating reality. And this is why those who act with calm assurance, without needing to announce their beliefs, seem to receive more swiftly. Their movement is pure. It is undiluted by contradiction. Speech, when not rooted in being, often becomes a form of self-persuasion. It reveals doubt more than it conceals it. But silent action, grounded in inner knowing, is a force that bends reality. The woman who prepares a nursery before conception, the man who saves as though his fortune is certain, these are the ones who understand the creative process. They do not beg for the future. They welcome it. They do not perform for others, they confirm within themselves. This faith, this quiet embodiment, does not require the approval or understanding of others. It operates in the unseen. It is private, sacred, and powerful. While others talk, the man of faith prepares. While others wait for signs, he becomes the sign. His confidence is not arrogance. It is alignment. He walks as one who knows the promise has already been fulfilled in the realm that matters most within. If you claim to be healthy, begin to treat the body as one already whole. If you desire companionship, begin to live in the rhythm of love. Set an extra plate, speak as though someone listens. Not because you are pretending, but because you are participating in the unseen. The law does not require evidence to begin, only assumption. Action born of that assumption is the clearest language you can speak. When you master this, you will no longer feel the need to convince others or even convince yourself. Your life will speak on your behalf. Your preparation will be your prophecy. Your behavior will proclaim your belief. And this kind of silent, faithful action moves faster than any spoken prayer. It creates without noise. It commands without demand. Because it is rooted in being, not in wish, you become what you are willing to live as. Not someday, but now. And when you begin now, even if the outer world still looks unchanged, you have already shifted timelines. The rest must follow. Because the universe does not answer what you say. It answers what you are. And what you are is revealed most clearly in what you dare to do, without needing to explain why. Now you see creation is not chaos, it is precision. It is governed not by the noise of the world, but by the silence of your inner state. You are not here to plead for your desires or to justify them. You are here to assume them, to embody them, and to walk in the world as though they are already yours. This is not imagination in vain. It is the only true reality. Silence is not the absence of movement. It is the stillness that speaks louder than speech, and from that silence you assume, not to convince, not to impress, but because it is already so. The world, with all its forms and conditions, merely bends to reflect what you are. It does not listen to the voice on your lips, but to the tone of your soul. So do not chase, do not beg, do not declare in desperation. Instead, dwell in the end. Let your assumption be your resting place. Let your preparation be your signal. Let your movement be your prayer, and let your silence, strong, unshaken, divine, be your greatest declaration of all. For what you become within, without hesitation, must take form without. And that is the law. Immutable, absolute, eternal.